on time than I am. I will be here on time one day. I'm always 1 minute late. Hi. Yeah, this is an AimHi Live, so if this is your first time, then welcome. Get involved in the chat. You need a Twitch account at the moment to set up a chat. And just throw in questions whenever you want. Say hello. Oh, hi guys. We've got some regulars coming back. Some of my faves. Pumpkin Master, Jeff, Izzy Rose. Hi guys, welcome. Yeah, if you're new to this, then feel free to like throw in questions and steer wherever way this is gonna go, because it's kind of got a plan, but it always ends up being taken on a tangent, which is one of the best things about it, I think. So yes, I am going to start with today. What is this? First, wireless lightning. Hi. Hi, Jasmine. Hi. Nice to see you. Right, yeah. What is all this lightning? What's going on? Has anyone seen this place before? Connected. This is a place. I'm going to tell you what this place is called because it's got a great name. This is called the Catatumbo River. It's the Catatumbo River. And wait, Pumpkin Master's just going straight in with, just getting back to that methane cow discussion quickly. I've since heard that some cows are not fitted with these catalytic converters and now fitted. Oh, okay. So sorry, I'm gonna just while you guys are thinking about the Catatumbo River and why there's so much lightning there, I'm just going to respond to Pumpkin Master asking about cows and why some cows give off way less methane. So actually, what we've started to realise is that although we keep cows in fields, so obviously we keep cows on like pasture land, fields surrounded by hedges in the middle of the countryside, and that's where they spend most of the time chilling. I say most of the time, to be honest, actually most of the world's cows are in what's called concentrated feeding operations, which a lot of people would call factory farms, where they're just in barns and enclosed space. But a lot of British cows, at least, are like in fields. And anyway, like there they just eat grass, right, and hay or whatever the farmer gives them. And obviously, I'm terrible at drawing cows. What was I saying? Oh yeah. But what we've recently realised is that cows naturally prefer to be by the coast. And when they're by the coast, they go down to the beach and they eat bits of seaweed. And when they eat the seaweed, it massively improves their digestion and they produce way less methane. Now, one of the problems with this is that scaling up the kind of seaweed that they need to eat to spread across all the cows on Earth, considering cows make up most of the land mammal biomass on the whole planet, would be really, really difficult. It's a really difficult thing to do. But in theory, yes, there are certain things you can feed cows to reduce their methane output, but it's not very scalable, and it would be much better if we just all ate a lot less cow and we gave that land back over to the wild animals that used to live there so that they can maintain huge carbon sinks like beautiful forests and stuff. That would be my thing. And Jeff's just saying, by the way, they are made of platinum and people steal them. Wait, Jeff, what are you talking about? Oh, for the cows. I don't know if that's true. Wait, Izzy Rose is coming in straight in with, is it Lake Maracaibo and the mouth of the Catatumbo River? Yes, it is. Okay, great. So, do you guys know what's going on here? What's going on on Lake Maracaibo at the mouth of the Catatumbo? Lake Maracaibo. Pew. And while people say what they think is going on here, if you're joining late, this is an AimHi Live, so you can jump in with questions whenever you want. And please do feel free to like throw in stuff that isn't even that related, and I might pick it up and go on a tangent with it. Like that thing about cows was really interesting. I'm sure there was something else I promised that I would talk about this morning. Oh yeah. I said that on Hannah's live that I would tell you about my friend who's suing the Dutch government. So actually, something that not a lot of people know is that loads of governments all around the world have been sued by people inside by people who are citizens of the country the citizens have sued the government for not doing enough about climate change, which is amazing. And loads of judges and law courts around the world have basically have been looking at these cases and taking them really seriously. And actually, these cases have been won in like 4 or 5 countries where the citizens have won against the government. Like, can you imagine that? The citizens have sued their own government for not doing enough about climate change and won. And Colombia is one of them. I think Pakistan is another. And the Netherlands is one of the others. And she was part of building that case. And now she's helping with the steel case because they're not doing anywhere near enough about the steel industry. Anyway, yeah, Izzy's coming with it's very lightningy. Mariella, if you're just catching up, if you're just appearing now, don't worry because you haven't missed too much. We haven't really started with why the weather is changing. We've just talked about cows and how if they eat a lot of seaweed, then it reduces their methane output, but it's difficult to scale up the seaweed. But, oh my god, do you guys know this book called Moby Dick? About the big whale. I haven't actually read it, all of it, but there is a part at the beginning where they're on Nantucket Island and it talks about cows all those years ago just naturally grazing seaweed as well as the grass, because that is one of the things that cows naturally do. And humans have known about this for a long time. We've kind of forgotten about it, and that's why we have got so... that's why they produce so much methane, I suppose. Anyway, yes, so we were talking about cows, we were talking about my friend in the Netherlands who's suing the government, and now we're talking about the Catatumbo River and Lake Maracaibo, which Izzy has recognised as being very lightningy. Jeff's asking if it's Costa Rica. It's not Costa Rica, it's Venezuela. So it's a little bit down and to the right. I'm very bad at right and left, east and west, southeast. And Jeff got it for your birthday. Yeah, cool. So you'll read the bit about the cows in Nantucket Island. I'm going to give the whale a little eye. God, I love whales. The whaling industry is the saddest thing. I can't believe that used to exist. Whales are brilliant. I would love to. I've always thought it'd be cool to like have a house on top of a whale. I mean, obviously you'd have to get the whale's permission and you have to make friends with the whale. But how cool would it be if you just like woke up, opened your door, and you're just on top of a whale? Oh, I think that'd be so good. Anyway, right, Lake Maracaibo, Catatumbo River. This is the place in the world where lightning hits more often than anywhere else on the planet by miles. How many times do you guys think lightning hits the ground at the entrance to the Catatumbo River, or the exit, every year? How many times do you reckon lightning hits the ground every year at that little spot? 365 days a year. What do you guys reckon? And I'll do one more welcome for people coming late. Thanks for coming. If you are here late, we haven't started quite on why the weather is changing yet, so no worries if you're joining us now. But we're just talking about the Catatumbo River and Lake Maracaibo and how there's loads and loads of lightning hitting it all the time. And so guesses are coming in for how many times lightning hits the ground every year. We got 500, 5,000, 100, 5,000. Jeff's coming in with 3 million. Actually, Jeff's the furthest away, but also kind of the right ballpark at the same time, right order, like closer order of magnitude. It's 500,000 times. Lightning hits the ground 500,000 times every single year. Now, I think this is one of the places that produces. We were talking about nitrous oxide yesterday, and how there's obviously been a reduction in humans producing it in our factories since the coronavirus hit, and so there's been less air pollution from this one specifically. But it's still being produced at full steam ahead here because it's something that is naturally produced in our atmosphere by lightning. Because the atmosphere is full of nitrogen, full of oxygen, and they come together when they're involved with this high energy electricity. And this is one of the places in the world where most of it is produced. It might be the biggest producer of nitrous oxide in the world. But yeah, 500,000 times a year. Now, did you guys know that you are about, depends what lottery you're talking about, but you're about 4 times more likely to get hit by lightning than you are to win the lottery? You're about 4 times more likely to get hit by lightning than you are to win the lottery, was one of the last sum-ups of that I heard. So, if you're going to play the lottery, you might as well play it at the mouth of the Catatumbo River. That'd be my advice. Right, okay, so let's talk about rivers. This is a really beautiful river, I think, and it's nicely blue because of. Does anyone know what element that is that makes rivers this color of blue? I'll see what people think if anyone knows the element that makes rivers that nice color, because you see it quite often around the world. It is really beautiful, isn't it? And Jasmine says, would you definitely die if you were hit by lightning? No, I don't think so. I think there are quite a few people who are hit by lightning and don't die. And yeah, in fact, I saw a video once of someone being hit by lightning twice, but it's one of those things that I saw when I was really young, and I can't tell if it was a fake or not, and it might have just been fake. But no, you don't definitely die. It depends if the lightning is able to is grounded or not. Through if your feet are insulated from the ground or not. I heard someone was killed by lightning and then their tombstone was hit by lightning. That is very possible. I wonder who witnessed that. Okay. Jeff's coming in saying only 1 in 10 die if hit by lightning. Good knowledge, Jeff. Thanks so much. That is good knowledge. Right. You guys have all come in with copper and iron, and now I'm suddenly doubtful that I'm right, but I'm pretty sure this is calcium that makes this colour. But I'm gonna have to double check now because suddenly everyone's saying copper, but I thought copper was more of like a greeny colour when it was in the water. Anyway, yeah, I think it's calcium. Still, the reason I'm asking about rivers is because just before we plunge into why the weather is changing, I wanted to ask you guys, what is the difference if you think about on a map? So you're looking at rivers on a map. If you look on a map, what is the difference between the shapes of the rivers when they're running fast and downhill? I mean, they're always running downhill slightly, but what's the difference in the shape when they're running fast and when they're running slowly, more along a kind of flat plane? What do you guys reckon is the difference in the river's shapes? How are rivers shaped differently when they're running fast or slow? Okay, so answers coming in. So Jeff is saying when they're fast, they're narrow, and when they're slow, they're wide. Yes, that is generally true as well. Pumpkin Master is saying is one straighter than the other. That's exactly what I'm getting at, that was what I was hoping for. And Izzy's coming in with the same thing. There's more meandering when they're slow. And Mariella's coming in to say octopus blood is blue because they have copper, not iron, for oxygen. That is one of the coolest things I have ever heard in my life. Thank you, Mariella. Whoa, that's so sick. Octopus blood. Whoa. I'm going to add that to my list of cool facts. Yeah, you're right. When copper is a complex, it's blue, isn't it? I was always terrible at remembering the colours of things, but that's the thing. Like with me in science, I find it much easier to like understand how stuff works. But when it comes to like remembering things like what colour certain chemicals are, I'm actually quite bad at that. But yeah, thanks for saying that, Mariella. That's so interesting. Guys, you are always welcome to throw interesting facts on the chat. That is cool. Okay, right. So yes, the key thing I was looking for was that when rivers are running fast, they run really straight. And when rivers are running slowly, they meander in these kinds of shapes that I'm sure you'll all be familiar with since you've all spent so much time hanging out with rivers. And as you know, eventually when these rivers get really close to one another, like this, they actually start to overlap, and then this whole bit gets cut off, and you get that thing called an oxbow lake. I don't know why it's called that. Anyway, right, exactly. So fast goes straight, slow goes meandery. That's the key point. Oh, it kind of looks like this bit of river has a moustache, doesn't it? I'm just going to add some glasses and top hat. There we go. Right. Have you guys ever read the report of the first time a top hat was worn in public. Go like that's something you have to do after this. Is go and find out. Go and read the report of the. It was like a police report because it caused so much consternation and chaos. Anyway, that's for later. Right, so the world. So the world, as you know, is a bit hot at kind of towards the centre, and a little bit chilly up top. Oh, I want blue. Fatima has just said Rapunzel. Oh, Fatima, we referring to the top hat person? Should I turn them into Rapunzel? Well, I'm actually not sure why I said Rapunzel. Might be something that I said. I've got a terrible memory. Anyway, so yes, the world, as you know, is kind of hot in the middle around the equator because that bit's closer to the sun, and then it's cold at the poles where you have all that ice. Now, it's the tension between hot and cold that causes something really important for, well, the world and the workings of the world. Does anyone know what this causes when cold air meets hot air? What happens? Rapunzel about my drawing. Thanks, Fatima. I think that's a compliment. I'm going to take it as a compliment. And yes, jet streams, brilliant. And Jeff's talking about wind tornadoes. Cool. So the tension between the hot and cold air causes the jet streams, which are because when the hot air meets the hot air will rise on top and the cold air will kind of dip beneath. And then because you've got this thing occurring and the world's spinning as well, and it'll get deflected off to the side. And what you end up with is this really fast stream of air that goes around the planet like that. Now, you have these streams at different heights. So you've got some really high up, some kind of middling, and some closer to the equator. You'll notice if you look at a world map that it kind of goes like this. And this is obviously like a big generalization, but it kind of goes desert, and then it goes tropical region, and then it goes kind of desert again, and then it goes tropical region, and so on. And obviously I've done this really badly because it's not quite like that. I guess the desert would be more like that bit and then up. But still, this separation between kind of dry and deserty and wet and tropical is because of these jet streams. These jet streams separate out the different kind of sections of the different slivers of the Earth. Okay, so this jet stream is circling around here, and the jet stream is really, really important for producing the weather that we have in the UK. So I've drawn the jet stream kind of going across here, but the jet stream is actually, quite smashing into the UK. And that's part of why the UK has always had this really consistent weather. What kind of weather is the UK famous for? Like rain, right? Like consistent rain and consistent cold. And have you guys, in fact, I'm really interested to know this, who here feels that they have noticed that the weather has been changing over their lifetimes? Because that's a really important thing, because if you look back like several generations, for them the weather just didn't change over their lifetimes. The weather was generally the same most years, year on year out. Every season was pretty consistent, and the UK was famous for it. But who has really noticed that the weather has been changing? So Jeff, not really. So Jeff's saying mild and rain is the UK. And Fatima was just searching up about jet streams. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to tell you about it. And Pumpkin Mouse is saying there's been less snow. Exactly, there's definitely been less snow. And Mariella is noticing that the weather has been changing, and Mirs is saying the seasons seem less defined, and Izzy's saying it's difficult to tell. It's something that it kind of like creeps up on you. And I guess in younger years, you're kind of your body's just like programmed to adapt to whatever there is, and so you just get used to whatever there is. And I think as you get kind of 18 and beyond, from that point you're starting to look back at like, okay, that's what the weather normally was like when I was a kid, so that's what I'm used to, and then it shouldn't really change past that, and yet it does. Like for me, it feels like I can really notice that the weather has been changing, and actually, I think the fact that the weather is changing is one of the things that is really helping with the battle against climate change, because everyone can tell that the weather is changing who's kind of older and been around for a while, because they can just feel it. Like people can really feel that it's changing. Right, so why is it happening? So yes, the jet streams have generally delivered the UK like really consistent wet and mild weather. It comes in off the North Atlantic Ocean and then gives us all this cold wet weather, and that is just generally how things have been. Now, what's changed is that as the world heats up, everything gets hotter, right? So the equator gets hotter. And the poles get hotter as well. So they get cold. How do you cold? Less cold? Oh, less cold. God, I'm such an idiot. Yeah, less cold. And okay, but the question is, which one heats up the most? The poles or the equator? So as the world is heating up because of climate change, which is heating up most? Poles or equator? What do you guys think? So everyone is saying poles. Yes, good. And this, quite famously, you can see like the ice melting and the animals that rely on the ice to hunt and to stay alive, like polar bears and seals and all that kind of stuff, are really, really struggling because the ice is disappearing so quickly. Yes, so the poles heat up faster. Now, because the poles heat up faster, it means that the difference in temperature gets smaller. So just to give you an example, if this is like 40 degrees and this is like minus 20 before, and then if this heats up by like 10 degrees, so up to minus 10, and this only heats up by like 2 degrees, so up to 42, then the difference in temperature before was what? What do you guys think? Give me that difference. So I'm finding a pen. No one's coming in with the diff. Maybe because there's a delay on the chat. Maybe because it's too easy. It was rude of me to even ask. I was going to write it. So yeah, it's 60 degrees change before, because minus 20 up to 40, and then and as they both get hotter, minus 10 up to 42 is going to be now only a 52 degree difference. So as they get hotter, the poles are getting hotter faster, and so the difference in temperature is getting smaller. And this is really, really important. So yeah, the AFK, does that mean away from computer but with a K? I don't know what AFK means. You'll have to update me, Jeff. Feed me the lingo. So yeah, so as the world is getting hotter, the poles are getting hotter faster, and the key thing is that the difference in temperature is getting smaller, right? And as the difference in temperature gets smaller, what do you guys think that means for the winds? AFK's away from keyboard. What do you guys think this means for the winds? Because the temperature difference is going down. So Izzy's saying they're weaker. Exactly. The winds are getting so much weaker because the difference in temperature is shrinking, and so this tension is reducing. Now, as the winds get weaker, they get slower. And as they get slower, rather than being that nice jet stream that they were before, what do you guys think happens to the shape of them? And this is the really key idea about why the weather is changing. What happens to the shape of the wind? What happens to the shape of the wind? Jeff is saying they stop halfway through. That would be so good if the wind just like got to a point which is like, sack this, I am done. It just stopped. Imagine being on the wall of where the wind stopped. You'd be like half buffeted and then like half just completely calm. That'd be great. Fatima says they become wonkier, and Jasmine is saying they meander, and Fatima is saying they move toward the south. Okay, I'm not sure about them moving to the south, although that may well be the case. The main thing that I know about is that they will change shape. So rather than being this nice straight thing that they were before, they will start to meander. Now, this is kind of feeding into... I'm just going to say this very quickly. For those of you who have started studying wave theory in physics, if you get a meander where the wavelength perfectly fits around the world, like a specific number of times, then that meander gets fixed in place, and then you get a really fixed wonkiness. So you need it to be like the same size of meander all the way around, and for it to then come back to the beginning and match right up again. But that's going into wave theory. But that's why these meanders get fixed in place. Anyway, so let's go over here to... This is the River Dane, which is a river that I grew up near, which is really meandery because it's going so slowly. So I'm just going to grab the old Dane, and I'm going to drag it down here. So yeah, this is a map of the North Atlantic. So you've got the UK here, Spain, Africa, and so on, and North America. Now, maybe I can get rid of this for me. Yeah, so as the winds come across, they used to come across in this straight line, straight into the UK, and they go into the UK and they'd like fire all the really mild weather towards it, really consistent. Now things have changed. So instead we often get this really meandery jet stream. Now, if we end up below the jet stream like here, then what happens is it sucks up loads of warm Saharan air into this pocket. And so we get way hotter than we're supposed to be. And so if you guys remember, if you're in the UK now, if you remember July last year, that was ridiculously hot because this was exactly what happened. And with the wave thing I was talking about before, this got locked in place for a while. And then suddenly, August happened, and the river flipped, the jet stream flipped the other way around. So instead, I'm going to move the River Dane, much as I love it. Bye, Dane. And so, yeah, the jet stream flipped around and was going more like this. And when it's that way around, it sucks in cold air from the Arctic, and so we get a really cold season unexpectedly. And so if you guys remember, in August it flipped from being really hot to suddenly plunging us into loads of rain. And this is... I'm just going to catch up on some of the thoughts actually. So same as rivers. Yeah, I died last summer. Jasmine, I hope that's not true. Oh right, died literally from the heat. I thought you meant literally died, and I was like, that's not possible because you're on the stream, and I'm glad you're here. And yeah, it was so hot, wasn't it? It was crazy in July. But yes, this is so well. That, I guess, is the key idea. That's why the weather is changing, and that's why it's going to continue to change all over the world, because all these really consistent weather patterns that we've been used to forever are now starting to slow down and meander, and as they meander, they're becoming less predictable. And so, you know, the weather, like the Met Office, I think, is based down here, and the Met Office is so cool. It's actually such a cool place to work, full of really smart people, and they really care about like trying to do stuff well. But their data only goes back like a few decades, really. And so how can they guess what's going to happen with a constantly changing climate when their data only really maps back to the weather back when things were more normal? Like, they can't guess. And so weather forecasting is going to go completely mad as things continue to change, if they continue to accelerate as they are. And yeah, we can expect more of a rapid switch between hot and cold in this country at quite unexpected times, and weaker wind, so less kite flying. I do like kites. I bought a load of kite material back like a few years ago, and I just never got around to making it, but I would love to make a kite one day. Anyway, so has anyone got any last questions? Throw them into the chat if you want, and I'll just check those out. And Thanks so much for coming along. Do also let me know any feedback if you particularly liked this one, or if you liked ones on other topics, or if you want me to cover other topics. Throw them into the chat. Okay, so I'm just going to see what people have written. Pumpkin Master is asking if those sudden changes in temperature could be good for us. So humans are, more so than many other animals on the planet, very good at adapting to different temperatures, because we've made clothes, and we've figured out heating and air conditioning and stuff like that. So whereas many animals will really struggle with the sudden and unexpected changes in temperature, and that's why you get a lot of sensitive things dying, like the beautiful baobab trees. I was talking about the baobabs the other day. Baobab trees. Look up the name of baobab trees, as well as looking up the story of the first top hat, because that's funny. But the baobab trees have started dying quite en masse because they can't adapt to the sudden changes in temperature. And Izzy Rose is asking, when the Greenland ice sheet melts, it slows the North Atlantic drift because it's less salty, so it could get colder. And that is a really important point, is that this idea that the melting ice from the north, so this is a lot to do with ocean currents, but the melting ice from the north, from somewhere like Greenland, can have like strong flows of south flowing ice, which can disrupt the ocean currents, bringing warm water across to this part of the world. Because if you think about it, like the UK is as far north as these parts of Canada that are just like covered in snow all the time, and yet we are surprisingly warm, and that's because we have this ocean current that's constantly kind of blasting into us. It also goes up to this bit of Norway, which is why if you ever go to this bit of Norway, you'll find that here is like really I know this sounds bad, but it's kind of really rainy and mild. I know that doesn't sound like the most pleasant thing, but honestly, all you need to do is just go past one level of hills, and on the other side is just snow. Just so much snow in the winter, and it's still really rainy on the coast because of all this warm water going across. Okay, so Mariella said the other day you said you could change the weather with silver powder. Yeah, so that was talking about clouds. So if you spray silver iodide, which is AgI, silver iodide. If you spray loads of silver iodide powder through a cloud, then the cloud will gather all the water together into droplets and drop out. That's called seeding the clouds. Seeding the clouds. What else have we got in here? With loads of questions pouring in. Back to yesterday, how do we know aliens don't have a hotter fusion machine than us? We don't know about that, but we also have no evidence anywhere of any life existing other than on this planet at all, which is why we really have to look after this planet. Theoretically, it's possible that there's other life forms with other fusion systems going on, and there may even be things in the universe that we haven't discovered yet that are even hotter than what we can see. It's possible. And someone was asking, isn't that Sweden? No, it's not Sweden. Sweden kind of starts like that. That's Sweden there. And then this bit's Norway. And I think that's it. Yeah, thanks so much for all the questions, guys. Thanks for coming. Do tell your friends about it, because it's so fun when there are loads of questions pouring in. I really like it. And here's baby albatross. I meant to show you guys that because it's really cute. And yes, I will see you guys tomorrow. And thanks so much. See you soon. Ciao.